Students, very good morning to all of you. Today we will learn pancreas. Pancreas, it is the second largest gland in the human body. Okay, and it is a mixed gland also. I think it can able to produce hormones and as well as enzymes also. Okay, so it is second largest gland. Second largest gland, and it is a mixed gland. Two different tissues are present in it. One is exocrinal part, another one is endocrinal part. Exocrinal part, another one is endocrinal part. Exocrinal part that possess ducts. They have a ducts. Ducts are there. They produces enzymes. Especially they have a acinar or acinine cell. Acinar or acinine cells are there. They can able to secrete enzymes. The other part of pancreatic gland is endocrinal in nature, means they do not have any ducts, ductless part. That ductless part is having which one? Especially islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans. They are producing hormones. So hormones are produced by the pancreatic gland, and as well as enzymes are also produced by the pancreatic gland. Hence we are saying it as a mixed gland. And the most important one here is the second largest gland in the body. Okay, so where it is there? Its location. In the abdominal cavity it is there, especially below and behind the stomach. In the abdominal cavity, below and behind the stomach. Okay, and extended to spleen, and especially lies very near to the in front of left kidney. The last part of the pancreatic gland here is now known as a tail part. That tail will be located simply in front of left kidney. Okay, the entire pancreatic gland is located in the abdominal cavity, just below and behind the stomach. Okay, now the pancreatic gland part, that may be the tail part of the pancreatic gland, is extended to the spleen and also lies in front of the left kidney. Okay, now this pancreatic gland has comprises four parts. One is head, other one is neck, other one is body, other one is tail. Okay, so there are four regions are present in a pancreatic gland. Head, where it is, head is in the concavity nature of C-shaped duodenum. So it lies in concavity of concavity of C-shaped duodenum. Exactly in the C-shaped part of duodenum, it is there. That is the head of a pancreatic gland. Now the neck follows the head. Now the body. So this one follows the head. The body of a pancreatic gland just behind stomach. Okay. Now the last part of the pancreatic gland, here is a tail. Now that is extended to spleen and lies in front of left kidney. So pancreatic gland, it is a lobulated, grayish pink gland. Lobulated, grayish pink gland. Nearly 60 grams to 90 grams will be the weight. Mostly present in the human body, its weight will be in between 60 grams to 90 grams will be the weight. So nearly 60 to 90 grams. So this is the brief information regarding pancreas. Pancreas is the second largest gland in the human body. It is a mixed gland due to having both exocrine part and endocrine part. Exocrine part, they have a duct. Such ducts, especially the cells present in it called as acini, they secrete enzymes. These enzymes will carried out by the ducts. Now the ductless part present in the pancreatic gland, here is a endocrine part. Especially islets of Langerhans cells are there. They secrete hormones. You remember it. Now the location below and behind the stomach, that is also extended to spleen. Okay. There are four regions are there, four parts are present in the pancreatic gland. One is the head, neck, body, tail. Already we learned about it. Head lies in the concavity of C-shaped duodenum. Now the neck that follows the head, body that is behind the stomach, and tail that is extended into the spleen and lies in front of the left kidney. Okay. Now I think here is this is duodenum. here is the gland is there. Okay. This is called as a pancreas, pancreatic gland. This is left lobe of liver. This is right lobe of liver. Here falciform ligament, and externally here is this kind of structure is there. This is called as a diaphragm. Okay, this is diaphragm. Okay, here one more small gland is there. This is called as a gallbladder. Gallbladder. From it, a kind of a structure will be like this. I think it will be better to use some other color. The duct that is coming from gallbladder here is called as a cystic duct. Cystic duct. Now this is cystic duct. These are right hepatic ductules. This is called now this one is the left one. Left hepatic ductules. This one is only duct. Now here also the same. These are called right hepatic ductules. This is called right hepatic duct. Right hepatic duct. The left hepatic duct and the right hepatic duct both are fused together to develop. This is a common hepatic duct. Now this one, the common hepatic duct that is coming from cystic duct, and from here onwards, this is now called as a common bile duct. This is called as a duct of Choledocus. Okay, you remember it. Now, this common bile duct is merged with, I think inside it, which one is there? I think a main pancreatic duct. The main pancreatic duct is there, and from its distal end, one more duct also may be developed. But before that, it is going to be united with the main pancreatic duct only. Okay. It becomes like this. So this duct is common bile duct. This is now called as a main pancreatic duct. Main pancreatic duct, from main pancreatic duct, especially the distal end of the main pancreatic duct, one more duct will be developed in the name of duct of Santorini. Yes. Yes. Here our concentration to see the pancreatic duct only, but it is totally has a connections with liver and liver ducts, etc., bile ducts, etc. Hence we have to draw the entire diagram regarding liver and pancreas. Okay. Now this gland is now called as a this gland is now called as a pancreatic gland. Pancreatic gland. This is lobulated. Grayish and pinkish gland. Already we know that its location is posterior to the stomach in the abdominal cavity. So this is the pancreatic gland. 4 parts are seen in it. Already we know about it: head region, neck region, body region, tail region. Head is located in the concavity nature of C-shaped duodenum, and neck follows the head. Now the main body, that is behind the stomach. Now the last tail of the pancreatic gland is extended towards the spleen, and it will lies in front of the left side kidney. Okay. Now this is the pancreatic gland. Okay. Now when we see in it, two kinds of ducts are there. Yes, before that, the description of this gland we will see now. Number one, here is the pancreatic gland. The entire gland is covered by externally capsule of serosa. The entire gland is externally covered by capsule of serosa or serosa layer. Serosa layer. That serosa layer is now externally covered by two layers. It is surrounded by two layers, external layer and internal layer. External layer is covered by visceral peritoneal layer. Visceral parietal peritoneal layer, and internally it is formed of connective tissue. Connective tissue. So there are two layers are present in it around that capsule. Yes, outer one, that is external layer, here is a visceral peritoneal layer, and the internal layer is a connective tissue. Now from the connective tissue, so many septas are developed. So many septas are formed from connective tissue, and simply they extended from capsule into the deeper part of the gland, and gland is going to be divided into so many lobules. Now these septas, so septas are developed by the connective tissue into the capsule. I mean that was formed from the capsule and move inward into the gland, and finally the entire gland is going to be formed into so many lobules. So many lobules. Such lobules are now formed of cells called as acini. Acini. Single walled flask shaped cells are there. Single walled flask shaped cells are there. They are nothing but acini. So acini are present in a lobule. Okay. Now the next one, of a complete lobule are interconnected together is by their thin ductules, and finally they have a common intralobular duct. Intralobular duct are developed by the union of all ductules which are belonging to the acini, which are present in a lobule. Lobules are developed by the septas which came from connective tissue from capsule into the gland. Okay. Now interlobular duct is finally exit out from the lobule, and again it will be opened into intralobular duct. So all of you please be observe carefully here. Intralobular duct, here not intra, here is interlobular duct. Such interlobular ducts many are available in the glandular tissue, especially the glandular tissue present in this pancreatic gland will have a numerous interlobular duct. All these interlobular ducts are interconnected together, and finally they will open into a thick duct. That thick duct here is main pancreatic duct. The main pancreatic duct is nothing but known as a duct of Wirsung. This is called as a duct of Wirsung. The main pancreatic duct called as a duct of Wirsung, that will be developed by the union of so many interlobular ducts, which again developed by the intralobular ducts, which were developed by so many ductules of acini which are present in a lobule. Such lobules are developed by the septa which origin or came from connective tissue. That connective tissue is nothing but the innermost layer of a serous layer. Serous layer is nothing but the outermost covering of a gland. Okay, that is the an information regarding the pancreatic gland. Acinine cells, especially 99% of glandular cells are forming exocrine part only. So 99% forms exocrine part. Only 1% may form endocrinal part. Even that 1% also we can able to see nearly 1 million of islets of Langerhans cells are there. Okay. Only 1% of the pancreatic gland forms islets of Langerhans. That is nothing but endocrinal part. In that endocrinal part, how many islets of Langerhans cells are maybe there? Nearly 1 million cells of islets of Langerhans cells are present in that in that endocrine part. That endocrine part. So how much exocrine? 99% of the gland is exocrinal part. Only 1% is endocrinal part. Now come here again. Very important for NEET orientation and MSET orientation. Some bits are here. You please remember. This is a gallbladder. Gallbladder has a duct called as a cystic duct. Thus this is the cystic duct. And this cystic duct is connected with a common hepatic duct. That common hepatic duct, once it connected with the cystic duct to develop like this, to develop common bile duct. The common bile duct usually called as a duct of Choledochus. Duct of Choledochus is the name that was given by a duct which is developed by the common hepatic duct and cystic duct. Finally, that common bile duct will be opened into a pancreatic duct. This is the main pancreatic duct. This is a main pancreatic duct. Already we know that how it is formed. Interlobular ductules are developed. They are fused together to develop it. Okay. Especially the main pancreatic duct, its name is duct of Wirsung. Now that is going to be connected with the common bile duct to develop, and one more duct, that is hepatopancreatic duct. Hepatopancreatic duct or hepatopancreatic ampulla or ampulla of Vater or ampulla of Vater. Ampulla of Vater is developed, or hepatopancreatic ampulla is developed, or hepatopancreatic duct is developed by the union of the main pancreatic duct, that is now here is connected with the common bile duct. So this small area, that area is called as a hepatopancreatic duct. This is hepatopancreatic duct. That hepatopancreatic duct is now going to be open into the lumen of duodenum. Okay, its opening is guarded by a sphincter muscle. Now that is called here one more sphincter muscle is there. Sphincter muscle is there. Okay, na? This is now called as a sphincter of Oddi. Sphincter of Oddi. And one more, another important thing here is where the main pancreatic duct is opened into the duodenum means the apex of major duodenal papilla. So the apex part of major duodenal papilla, in that area this main pancreatic duct is open. Especially the major duodenal papilla which are located below of about 10 centimeter below the pyloric sphincter. So stomach is there. The last part of the stomach is a pyloric part. Pyloric part is having a sphincter muscle, pyloric sphincter. From which one is developed? The duodenal part is will be begin. Now from pyloric sphincter nearly is up to 10 centimeter, that particular area called as a greater, or that is nothing but major duodenal papillas are there. In that area, major duodenal papilla, the main pancreatic duct is going to be opened. Okay. But in some people, another duct is also developed in the pancreatic gland, that is called as a, this is called as a accessory pancreatic duct. The accessory pancreatic duct is nothing but duct of Santorini. Duct of Santorini. The secondary accessory pancreatic duct is developed in the pancreatic gland, will develop from the distal part of the main pancreatic duct. That also will be opened directly into the lumen of duodenum, but its opening do not have any kind of muscle, that is no sphincter is there, its opening here. And where it is open, simply it is located in between the major duodenal papilla and pyloric sphincter, and especially its opening area will be about 7 centimeter below the pyloric sphincter. So once again, there are two kinds of ducts are seen in the pancreatic gland. One is the main pancreatic duct, its other name is a duct of Wirsung, that will be opened into the lumen of duodenum. Before it open into the lumen of duodenum, it will be connected with the common bile duct and to develop hepatopancreatic duct. Okay, that hepatopancreatic duct will be open at major duodenal papilla. The major duodenal papilla are present about 10 centimeter below the pyloric sphincter. Now one more duct is also developed from main pancreatic duct, that is called as a accessory pancreatic duct or duct of Santorini, which also has a direct contact with the lumen of duodenum and it directly open into the lumen of duodenum. But where it is open, simply it is at minor duodenal papilla. These minor duodenal papillas are located in between pyloric sphincter and major duodenal papilla. They are present exactly, that opening will always be exactly about 7 centimeter before or below the pyloric sphincter. Yes. And whatever it may be, the entire gland is having acinar cells are also there. Nearly already we know that 99% is there. They secrete enzymes. Alkaline natured juice will be developed by this. The pH of this one here is a 8.4. Pancreatic juice is with 8.4 will be the pH. Alkalinity natured pancreatic juice secreted by this one, its pH is 8.4. And moreover, one more another thing importantly here is the pancreatic juice is a pure, completely digestive juice, because of all the enzymes are available for all kinds of, nearly 4 kinds of organic materials which are present in a food material. So enzymes which can able to digest for proteins, enzymes which can able to digest for carbohydrates, enzymes which can able to digest for lipids, and enzymes which can able to digest for nucleic acids also present in it. Hence it is a complete digestive juice. The pancreatic juice is now completely digestive juice, a complete digestive juice, because of all enzymes are available in it to digest all the major 4 kinds of organic materials present in the food material. You have to remember that one. Now, and one more here is there are two kinds of cells are there. Yes. So pancreatic gland, it is of two kinds, acinar and islets of Langerhans. Okay. Acinar cells produces enzymes. Already we know about it. Now it is secretes two kinds of enzymes. Proenzymes and enzymes. Proenzymes. What are the proenzymes are given by it? Here, number one is trypsinogen. Another one is chymotrypsinogen. Okay. Another one procarboxypeptidase. Before it, that also can be divided into two kinds, especially two kinds of natured protein digesting enzymes are here. Proenzymes are also two kinds. One is endopeptidase, other one is exopeptidases. Endopeptidases are again two kinds. One is trypsinogen, another one is chymotrypsinogen. Okay. Under exopeptidase, which one is there? Carboxypeptidase is there. Okay. And under enzymes, all these carboxypeptidase, especially it is a procarboxypeptidase. Procarboxypeptidase. Procarboxypeptidase, chymotrypsinogen, trypsinogen, all these three will come under proenzymes. Okay. Now the another category enzymes here. One is elastase, other one is stearin, fat digesting enzyme. Now pancreatic lipase. Okay. Pancreatic amylase, DNAase, RNAase, DNAase, RNAase, pancreatic amylase, pancreatic lipase, fat digesting enzyme, that is stearin, and elastase. It is a serine family. It is also a kind of peptidase. So all are said to be enzymes. Okay. So one by one we will see. Before it, this islets of Langerhans cells are four kinds. One is alpha cells, other one is beta cells, other one is delta cells, other one is pancreatic polypeptide cells. Pancreatic polypeptide cells or pancreatic polypeptide F cells, whatever it may be. Now first trypsinogen. Trypsinogen and chymotrypsinogen, procarboxypeptidase, all these three are said to be inactivated enzymes secreted by the pancreatic gland. Okay. Trypsinogen, in the presence of enterokinase, you please remember it is an important one. Enterokinase. Now enteropeptide. Enterokinase or enteropeptide that is developed by the intestine, especially in the intestinal juice, in the succus entericus, that enzyme activator is present. Its name is trypsinogen here. That trypsinogen is going to be activated by an enzyme activator in the name of the first one here is enterokinase. So one by one, before that, these simple things we will complete now. Alpha cells. Alpha cells, they produce glucagon. Okay. Nearly they occupy 15% of the islets of Langerhans. Okay. They are present in peripheral area of islets of Langerhans and occupy nearly 15%. They produces glucagon. So glucagon will do glycogenolysis. Glycogen molecules are going to be broken down into glucose in the presence of glucagon, a hormone. So indirectly, the blood glucose levels are going to be increased by that glucagon hormone developed by the alpha cells of islets of Langerhans of pancreatic gland. So hence it increases blood glucose level. Hence it is said to be hyperglycemic factor. Hyperglycemic factor. And that glucagon also named as a diabetogenic hormone. If it is more, automatically more amount of glucose will be present in the blood. By doing glycogenolysis, all the glycogen molecules are converted into glucose and blood glucose levels are enormously will increase. Automatically that may cause us the diabetic mellitus a condition. Okay. Presence of glucagon may produce us diabetic condition or increases blood glucose level. Hence it is a diabetogenic hormone. Okay. If it is in the blood, if it is more in blood, automatically glycogenolysis process will occur abnormally. All the glycogen molecules are converted to glucose. Hence the glucose levels in a blood will increase. That may cause us diabetic condition. Hence it now known as a diabetogenic hormone. Okay. Now the next one, beta cell. Beta cell produce insulin. Beta cell produce insulin. Now the insulin here is that will do all the excess amount of glucose present in a blood will converted into glycogen by this activity. So insulin, what is the work of here of about insulin? The excess glucose is converted to glycogen. Indirectly it reduces blood glucose level. Hence it is said to be hypoglycemic factor. So insulin is now said to be hypoglycemic factor. If it is absent in a blood, the process of converting of glucose into glycogen may not be happen. Automatically diabetic condition will develop. Diabetic mellitus will develop. When in the absence of insulin. In the absence of insulin, we will get diabetic mellitus, a disease, a kind of sugar disease. Okay. In the presence of glucagon also we are getting increasing of blood glucose level. If it is occur more and more, automatically that may lead to developing of diabetic condition. Hence glucagon called as a diabetogenic hormone. Absence of insulin. I am not saying presence of insulin. I am saying here absence of insulin also may lead to diabetic mellitus a condition. Okay. Now beta cells, nearly 65% of islets of Langerhans cells occupy these beta cells. Now delta cells, only 5% of these delta cells are present in the islets of Langerhans. They may produce somatostatin, a hormone. What is that? Somatostatin, a hormone. Somatostatin will inhibit the secretion of hormones from pancreatic gland. Especially glucagon is from alpha cells and insulin is from beta cells. Their secretion will be prevented totally by the somatostatin. The somatostatin, a hormone secreted by the delta cells, they nearly occupy 5% of the islets of Langerhans cells. Now the last one, the pancreatic polypeptide cells or pancreatic polypeptide F cells. They inhibit the secretion of pancreatic juice from pancreatic gland. The entire pancreatic juice will be prevented. The secretion of entire pancreatic juice will be prevented from or by the pancreatic gland is by pancreatic polypeptide cells. All these four kinds of cells are present in islets of Langerhans. Now that I will erase all these. Now come to the number one, where it is come to the number one, proenzymes under endopeptidase. Endopeptidase means it can able to break the protein internally. An enzyme which can able to break the protein internally, that is said to be endopeptidase. Exopeptidase means here, now the terminal part of the protein will be cleaved by that. It may be either carboxypeptidase or it may be aminopeptidase. Now here in the pancreatic juice, which one is there? Carboxypeptidase is there. Carboxypeptidase. Okay. Now come to here, trypsinogen. Trypsinogen is converted to trypsin in the presence of a particular enzyme activator that is called as a enterokinase. It is now known as an enzyme activator secreted by intestinal juice. Intestinal glands are there. Krebs of Leber-Kuhn and Brunner glands are there in the intestine. They secrete that enterokinase. Okay, that enterokinase will convert the trypsinogen to trypsin. Now, chymotrypsinogen is converted to chymotrypsin in the presence of trypsin. So trypsin will work on chymotrypsinogen and convert it into chymotrypsin. Now the formed trypsin plus chymotrypsin both will work on, especially we like this, both will work on proteases plus peptones plus some protein molecules which are present in a chyme food material which is available now in the intestinal area, came from stomach. So some proteins are there, some proteases are there, some peptones are also there. These two, trypsin and chymotrypsin, these two enzymes, activated ones, will work on proteases and peptones and proteins and cleaved all of them into polypeptides. Okay. Especially trypsin, where it works, it can able to cleave the peptide bond which are very close at alanine, especially arginine, trypsin, arginine, alanine. Okay, the peptide bonds which are present very near to these amino acids at that particular area, this trypsin will go and break down that peptide bonds present in a protein molecule and the proteins are going to be broken down. Now chymotrypsin, this chymotrypsin that also will cleave the peptide bonds which are very close with the amino acids like tryptophan, tyrosine, phenylalanine. So wherever phenylalanine and tyrosine, tryptophan, these three kinds of amino acids are there, the nearest peptide bonds for all these three amino acids, such bonds are going to be broken down by action of chymotrypsin. And larger protein molecules are internally going to be broken down, hence it is also called as a endopeptidase. So where it is working, chymotrypsin is going to be work at the place where tryptophan, tyrosine and phenylalanine amino acids are there. The closest peptide bonds for all these three amino acids. Such bonds are going to be broken down by the action of chymotrypsin. Okay. Now the next one, which one? Exopeptidase is there. That is a pro-carboxypeptidase. That pro-carboxypeptidase also going to be activated by the trypsin again. Trypsin, arginine and tyrosine. Okay. Arginine and tyrosine. Now the next one, pro-carboxypeptidase. Pro-carboxypeptidase is converted to carboxypeptidase. That carboxypeptidase conversion needs again trypsin. So the trypsin, which is now going to be converted the pro-carboxypeptidase into carboxypeptidase, it is now the activated one. Zinc containing exopeptidase. It will work on carboxylic end of a protein molecule. So it can able to cleave a peptide bond which is very near to the carboxylic end of a protein. Hence it is a exopeptidase. This also will work on proteose, peptone and proteins, and all of them are converted to polypeptides. Further digestion of a polypeptide needs succus entericus, where peptidases are there, tripeptidase, dipeptidase, etc. But now here, up to that only the protein molecules are going to be digested by pancreatic juice only. Okay. Now the next one, elastase. Now steapsin. Okay. Elastase is nothing but a protein digesting enzyme. That is also a kind of endopeptidase. I think it is completely belong to serine family. Nearly that elastase will work. I will write here clearly. Elastase. Here glycine, alanine, serine, valine. Wherever all these four kinds of amino acids are present in a protein molecule, the nearest peptide bonds are going to be broken down by the action of elastase. So elastase will work on glycine, alanine, serine, valine, where they are available in a protein structure. Such nearest peptide bonds are going to be broken down by the elastase. That also will work as a endopeptidase. The larger protein molecule is converted to smaller. It may be a peptone, maybe a proteose, maybe as a polypeptides. Okay. Now the next one, steapsin. A fat digesting enzyme. This steapsin is of three kinds. Pancreatic lipase, an enzyme is there. Tarvata cholesterol esterase. The next one is cholesterol esterase is there. Phospholipase, an enzyme is there. Pancreatic lipase will work on emulsified fats and converted them into fatty acids plus monoglycerides. It can able to work on emulsified fats and converted the emulsified fats into fatty acids and monoglycerides. That will do by pancreatic lipase. It is a part of steatosin. Now the cholesterol esterase. It works on cholesterol esters. Okay. Now the phospholipase, that enzyme also will work and separate the fatty acids from phospholipid. Separates the means removes fatty acids from phospholipid. Okay. So it can able to remove the fatty acids from phospholipid. That action will be done by phospholipase. So phospholipase, cholesterol esterase, pancreatic lipase, all these three enzymes are collectively together a family of steatosin. It is a fat digesting enzyme. Now the next one, pancreatic amylase. Pancreatic amylase will work on amylose, amylopectin, etc. and all of them will be converted into disaccharides only. So pancreatic, before that there is a starch and amylose, amylopectin, etc. all are nothing but carbohydrate molecules. All are converted to disaccharides in the presence of pancreatic amylase. Pancreatic juice will have two kinds of carbohydrates. Okay, alpha glycosidase is there, pancreatic amylase is there. Okay, alpha glycosidase and pancreatic amylase. These two are carbohydrate digesting enzymes are available in the pancreatic juice. You have to remember. Alpha glycosidase will work on alpha 1,6 glycosidic bonds. Glycosidic bonds which are present in a amylopectin. Amylopectin, it is nothing but having branches. The side branch where it is connected with the main branch of a amylopectin will have a glycosidic bond. That bond may be developed in between alpha 1 to 6. Okay, alpha 1 to 6 glycosidic bonds are present where the side branch is connected with the main branch of a amylopectin. That bond was going to be cleaved by alpha glycosidase. Okay, that bond is cleaved by alpha glycosidase. Now pancreatic amylase, that will cleave the alpha 1-4 glycosidic bonds which are present in amylose and amylopectin. Amylose has a striated linear arrangement. Amylopectin is now already we know that some striated branches are there, side branches are there. Now that branches are completely made up of monosaccharide units. Here in amylose and amylopectin, in the straight branches where alpha 1-4 bonds are there, such bonds are going to be broken down by pancreatic amylase. So pancreatic amylase will work on both amylose and amylopectin where alpha 1-4 glycosidic bonds are there. Such bonds are going to be broken down by this pancreatic amylase, and finally a larger amylopectin, a larger amylose, a larger starch carbohydrate material are converted to disaccharides. Okay, the next one, the DNAase and RNAase. The DNA is RNA is. DNA, it is now, it will be digested by DNA is present. DNA is an enzyme present in the pancreatic juice, will work on DNA and converted into nucleotides. Nucleotides. Okay. Now RNA. RNase is there. It work on RNA and converted into nucleotides. I think a polynucleotide is nothing but a DNA or RNA. Simply uracil, if it is there, it becomes RNA. Okay. Thymine, if it is there, that belong to DNA. DNA or RNA both are developed by the union of so many polynucleotides. So such polynucleotide DNA is going to be broken down into simple nucleotides. Such nucleotides are developed by DNase, it will work on DNA, and the nucleotides are developed by RNase, work on RNA. So up to that, the all enzymes which are present in a pancreatic juice is completely over. Okay. Now, already we have seen the entire story of about exocrine gland and endocrine gland, everything. The pH of this one is nearly 8.4 will be there. Alkaline nature will be there. Okay. When it secretes the pancreatic gland. Pancreatic gland gets stimulated by two ways. One is hormonal and other one is initiation of parasympathetic stimulation. Innervation or stimulation of a parasympathetic nervous system and hormonal stimulation both may lead to the secretion of pancreatic juice is by pancreatic gland. Especially whenever the chyme which is enter into the duodenal part of the small intestine, especially chyme which is having acidic nature, that acidic nature present in the chyme will triggers which one? Triggers secretin a hormone. That is more important here. That secretin is secreted by epithelium of duodenum. Epithelium of duodenum. This epithelium of duodenum immediately secretes secretin in the presence of chyme when enters into the intestinal area. Immediately the epithelium of duodenum will get sensitized and initiated and secretes secretin. The developed secretin will come into the blood circulation. Through the blood circulation it will enter into the pancreatic gland. Now from the pancreatic gland it will induce us that acini cells present in the pancreatic gland to secrete pancreatic juice. That juice always will have a very poor enzymes will be there and more carbonates, bicarbonates, especially sodium bicarbonate, potassium bicarbonate, etc. Sodium bicarbonate and potassium bicarbonate will be more. A watery fluid will be secreted by the initiation given by the secretin hormone to the pancreatic gland. Whenever acidic chyme enter into the duodenum, immediately the epithelium of duodenum will produces secretin. That secretin immediately enters into the blood. Through the blood circulation that again reaches the pancreatic gland and induces acini cells of pancreatic gland to go for secretion a pancreatic juice. That juice is with very little amounts of enzyme and more watery fluid along with the carbonates, bicarbonates, sodium bicarbonate, potassium bicarbonate, etc. will be more in that kind of secretion that was developed by secreted by pancreatic gland and initiated by secretin. And one more hormone And one more hormone, cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin is also there. That also secreted by the entire part of small intestine. The entire part of small intestine secretes that cholecystokinin, that also will enters into the blood through the blood circulation, will again enter into the same thing here, pancreatic gland. Now it induces pancreatic gland to secrete pancreatic juice is with more enzymes. Secretin induces the pancreatic gland to secrete watery fluid only, but no more enzymes. But now here, with more enzymes, that pancreatic juice is given by the pancreatic gland gets initiated by cholecystokinin. Its secretion is also will be triggered by presence of fatty acids and proteins. If more proteins are there, if more fatty acids are present in the chyme, food material which came from stomach and now available in the intestine, that may triggers the secretion of cholecystokinin from the entire length of small intestine, and again that will enter into the blood circulation and finally reaches the pancreatic gland to secrete the pancreatic juice by the pancreatic gland is with more enzymes. So these are hormonal and parasympathetic stimulation for pancreatic gland to secrete pancreatic juice. We have to remember the same cholecystokinin also may go for contraction of wall of gallbladder to release bile juice. Okay. Another function of this one here is to contract the wall of gallbladder to release bile juice. Okay. Gallbladder contraction and releasing of bile juice is also, everything will be under controlled by cholecystokinin, in addition to the initiation of pancreatic gland to release pancreatic juice. Okay. Now pancreatitis. Pancreatitis is nothing but it is a common disease generally found in the pancreatic gland, but it is also somewhat dangerous and also commonly found. This pancreatitis, inflammation to the pancreatic gland, is called pancreatitis. Especially what are the symptoms? Here is excess alcoholism, viral infection to pancreatic gland, and pancreatic cancer, or obstruction to the pancreatic duct, any kind of obstruction to pancreatic duct, and sometimes autolysis. Autolysis means generally pancreatic gland will secrete trypsinogen, that is an inactivated endopeptidase. Sometimes accidentally it secretes the activated trypsin. So due to the secretion of activated trypsin directly by pancreatic gland, that pancreatic gland also may get damaged, so inflamed. That may also lead to pancreatitis. So inflammation to the pancreatic gland is called as a pancreatitis. That may be due to the excess alcoholism, even taking of use of certain drugs, and viral infection. Now this is pancreatic cancer, obstruction to pancreatic duct, or sometimes autolysis also may causes pancreatitis. Okay. Now this pancreatitis of three kinds of pancreatitis are here. One is acute pancreatitis, chronic pancreatitis and hereditary pancreatitis. Acute pancreatitis means the severe upper abdominal pain. Severe upper abdominal pain. Okay, that is seen in acute pancreatitis. What are the other generalized symptoms are seen in it? Headache will be there, nausea will be there, vomiting will be there, diarrhea will be there, fever will be there. So headache, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, fever, even bloating also will be there, and severe upper abdominal pain also will be there in acute hepatitis. Okay, and some other reasons. Gallstones also may be the reason. Gallstones may be one of the reason for that. Okay, even abnormal secretion of hormones. Okay. Now the second one is chronic pancreatitis. Chronic pancreatitis. If it is there in the human body for a longer period, that may lead to diabetic condition also. Diabetic condition also may be developed once insulin hormone is not developed properly by the beta cells. Once beta cells of pancreatic gland is destroyed, insulin may not be secreted properly, hence the glucose content in the blood will increase abnormally, that may lead to sugar disease, that is called as a diabetic condition. Now hereditary, that is totally completely under the control of genes. All these are said to be different types of pancreatitis. Okay, so gallstones also may be the reason for developing pancreatitis. What are gallstones? Gallstones, I think generally hepatic cells produces hepatic juice that will enter into the gallbladder, where it gets concentrated, where it can storage and concentrated inside the gallbladder. Here excessively absorption of water and ions, excessively absorption of water and ions from bile, from the gallbladder, and excessively secretion of cholesterol from the hepatic cell into the bile. Now that bile is going to be enter into gallbladder. So into the gallbladder, which one is moving? More content of cholesterol is going to be entered, and from it more water is going to be reabsorbed, and more electrolytes are going to be reabsorbed, more ions are also going to be reabsorbed excessively. The remaining cholesterol that may forms a membranous solid particles. That is nothing but known as a gallstones. So that gallstones also may be lead to pancreatitis. Okay. Yes. Cholecystectomy లేదా cholecystitis, inflammation to gallbladder, that condition is said to be cholecystitis. Okay, cholecystitis means inflammation to gallbladder, and then gallstones are developed inside the gallbladder. Okay, that was due to the excessively absorption of water, electrolytes, ions from the bile juice, and into the bile juice, which one is secreted more and more? Cholesterol is going to be secreted from the hepatic cell into the bile, and the excessively availability cholesterol will converted as a membranous solid particles in the name of gallstones. Okay, cirrhosis, one more. I think it is also completely damage to the hepatic cells, liver. Okay, hepatitis, one more, another hepatitis, damage to the liver, inflammation to the liver, especially by alcoholism and also viral infection. alcoholism may be the major reasons for damaging of hepatic cells, and finally called as a hepatitis. Okay, cirrhosis also developed for liver. Now one more, jaundice also will be there. Jaundice, that also a kind of disease developed to liver but not the pancreatic gland. The pancreatitis only the disorder developed for pancreatic gland. The remaining all other things what we are saying now. Cirrhosis is for liver. Cholecystitis is also for gallbladder. Now hepatitis is also for liver. Okay, now jaundice. Jaundice is nothing but here the excessively degradation breakdown of RBC in the endothelial cells of liver. Inside the hepatic cells, the dyed RBCs are going to be completely broken down, but when they are going to be broken down, bilirubin, biliverdin will develop. That bilirubin, biliverdin also may not be completely digested and broken down completely. They may not metabolize completely. Hence, some of the cells are going to be damaged, especially the hepatic cells are going to be damaged due to the overwork that was assigned to the hepatic cells abnormally. In that condition, hemoglobin molecules present in a dyed RBC may not be completely metabolized and they produces bilirubin, biliverdin excessively. That also will enter into the blood circulation. Even that may appear in retina of our eye. Okay, skin also becomes color, that is yellow color. Cornea also will be visible because of due to the presence of excessively bilirubin in the blood capillary present on the retina of our eye. Okay, skin turns into that color, cornea turns into that color. That entire story is said to be jaundice. If it is not treated, the liver will get malfunction. Finally, that organism also will die. So this is a complete information regarding pancreatic gland. Okay, thank you.